So many of you have shared with me that you've been on more diets than you can count. You feel as though you've been dealing with this for most of your lives, yet you resist giving up dieting. Giving up the diet, the all or nothing mentality, good and bad, deprivation or self-indulgence. How's this working for you? You see, despite everyday evidence that diet is what's failing you, that it's the single leading precursor to emotional eating that leads to binge eating, leads to weight gain and food obsession, you're still looking for the next quick fix for weight management. You see, the reality is that what you really lose long term is your sanity. You lose time and ultimately your good health. Most of you can relate to eating emotionally in some way, eating for comfort rather than satisfying hunger. But when this process becomes more and more about control, confusion, and even fear, it becomes more of a disordered behavior. Binge eating, characterized by the response to an urge, creates behavior with food that is void of emotion. While there's a big difference, they can go together, with emotional eating leading to a binge, and it's really important for you to be aware of that. You see, binge eating is damaging to both your physical and emotional well-being. It's tied directly to the urge, not the emotions, to binge. Binging feels out of your control and is usually emotionless and results in you blacking out and eating to the point of not being able to stop, so that you feel sick and so guilty afterwards, often till the next day. Many share the experience causes them to wake up feeling almost hungover. And add to that those feelings of guilt, shame, and sadness, the cycle continues. It is important to be aware that binge eating is emotionless. When you binge eat, the urge is strong, but your emotions fall away, and you are neither aware nor present. Get curious about your why. Become aware in the moment and focus on present thoughts that may say something like, yes, I'm aware I'm eating because I'm feeling blank. And I can stop when I want to. Yes, we eat when we're sad, lonely, and also when we're happy and feeling joy, because who doesn't experience eating that extra serving of deliciousness or piece of birthday cake just because? Eating when you're not hungry or eating past being full can often be normal eating behaviors, but the difference is that you have control over the urge and you can stop when you want to. These can also be defined simply as mindless eating and not binge eating. We often eat when we're not hungry because we're bored or we want to fill the time. We can become mindful of this by mentally checking in and asking, am I hungry or just bored? What else can I do to fill this space? It's important to learn to separate hunger cues from emotional cues. It can be difficult to recognize and understand the difference between eating in response to hunger and eating in response to an emotion that you don't want to feel. Learn to separate the two and self-regulate your eating by introducing awareness, eating mindfully, and paying attention to hunger signals. Practice rating your hunger. On a scale of 1 to 10, just how hungry are you? And know that how you eat can be more important than what you eat. The total amount of food you eat, your attitude towards food, how you balance your meals and snacks, and your personal eating habits play a much bigger role in emotional overeating than the specific foods you're choosing to eat. So take time to analyze your eating patterns, learn more about physical hunger and emotional hunger, and develop new self-help strategies to address both your emotional and physical relationships to food. Practice saying no, not only to unhealthy foods, foods that don't make you feel well, but also to emotionally charged situations that sabotage your efforts to develop better eating behaviors. Saying no to those urges means you're saying yes to yourself. So many of us have been taught that we need to weigh less in order to live more. But I really believe we have to live more in order to weigh less. We have to stop waiting on the weight and start connecting to what gives us joy. Only then can we stop the emotionally driven relationship to food and say goodbye to disordered eating for good. Only then can we feel empowered enough to declare, I will not change the size of my life for the size of my body. Only then will we stop fearing food and start loving our bodies. I'm Mindy Gorman-Pletzer, and that's the Freedom Promise. And if you're interested in exploring this further with me, I'm going to be inviting you to enroll in my newest program, Stop the Sabotage and Start a Loving Relationship with Food. Stay tuned for the launch in the coming weeks.